Okay, so here are the results. And A is agroecological farmers, C is conventional farmers. Hands down, they had more topsoil. Now this is just an average of 2,000 farms, right? 1,000 conventional, 1,000 sustainable. So the differences are a lot different, but this is all averaging out. And I don't know, have you ever done a t-test before? Who's done a t-test? Anybody? So those are pretty good values, right? I mean, 0.00001. That means that's the amount that you're unsure of this result, basically. So we were very sure of our results. It's an incredible result. Why did we get such incredible results? Those of you who know statistics. Why were we so sure that it wasn't coincidental? One, it's true, it's not coincidental, but why is the measurement so precise? Yes?
Because you can repeat your data over and over again and find the same thing in this big spread over and over.
Yeah, because we had 1,000 observations. That's why. How do you get 1,000 observations in 1 month?
A lot of people out there.
You have a movement carry out the research. That's how. Yes?
So could you say that the increase between 1998 and now from 10,000 million, like you said, is musical, and the outcome of Hurricane Mitch? Because that seems like a pretty big jump between 1970 and 1988 to 10,000.
I think this influenced it, but most farmers never read about this research. But but certainly the NGOs who work with farmers read the research. No, it helped. This is, yes?
Did someone suggest that there could be some bias because it was the movement that did the research and the data was strongly suggesting that,
Right. Did we open ourselves up to bias because we already thought we knew how things were going to work out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Neutral.
Right, because we weren't neutral. Yeah, and of course, arguing that no science is neutral wouldn't have helped us, right? Because we're the weaker science, and the stronger science gets to pretend it's neutral, and the weaker doesn't. We were very careful about that. We were very aware of that, and very careful about it. And so the protocol was minute. I mean, the steps for carrying out the measurements were very, very clear, and the teams were very well trained. And what had to happen was after each paired observation, right, the farmers were part of the team, and they had to sign off. And if they didn't agree that the observations had been done well and the measurements done, they wouldn't sign. And so there were times when they had to repeat several times the measurements because people just didn't believe it. Often it was just because they were incredulous. Oh, it can't be. I can't have lost that much soil. There can't be that big of a difference between us. Do it again and do it again. And then we had random checks, right? So it was hard to keep the protocol when you think about it. 100 teams, and so here I was. I had a research coordinator in each country. And then I was the PI, and I had to run around between country and country and make sure that the training was being done the same way in each country, make sure that everybody's learning how to make the measurements in the same way, and then apply it in the same way. It was nerve-wracking. That's when I learned how to sleep 3 hours a night. And we rolled 2 trucks. We spent several nights in jail. No, it was an very exciting piece of research. We raised $300,000 to do this research in 1 month. I've never been able to repeat that feat. But it was such a vibrant issue, and we had the movement there. And these farmers in the movement know how to do this. We designed the research in a way, well, they designed the research. We worked with them to design these techniques for measurement. And there were things that they already were familiar with. They already knew how to measure crop cover from their years in Campesino, from all their workshops. They knew how to measure the soil profile. That soil profile thing, do that all the time to show farmers what the difference. You saw it in the other movie, right? They do the soil profile, they play with the soil, they figure out the texture. These are things they knew. There was only a couple of things we introduced which were different. The biggest problem, there were two problems. The biggest problem was writing it down. So you had to have a technician there to write it down, and the technicians made mistakes. And they wrote things down. And then getting it from the field sheet onto the computer. And people on the computer who were entering the data into the computer made mistakes. And so we had to do a lot of cleaning of data. But basically, it was solid. I mean, and because there were so many farmers, we had so many data points, and it just, you know, we didn't have, this wasn't about outliers. This was very clearly solid information. And it went through peer review. It got published in Agriculture, Ecosystems, and Environment. You know, they made it. Oh, I forgot to tell you what this was. This is an interesting measurement. You had to measure down, right, in the soil profile and find out when you struck water. How far down did you measure before the soil was humid? All right. So what would that mean? Why would we want that? Gardeners?
Well, because when you have water closer to the soil, all the little capillaries and micropores are full of water, and the plants have access to it.
Right, it meant that their soils had better water retention. And we did this in the dry season after the hurricane. So the higher your moisture level was, the better water retention you had in your soil. Right? So the deeper you have to go, the worse off it is. And conventional farmers had to dig down deeper to find moisture.